Richard Rossi once said that when there's anxiety, my friend, there is the opportunity. These days in the housing market in Sarasota, Florida, are days of anxiety in the housing market. Interest rates have crept upward steadily over the last year. Housing prices in Florida have risen by 50 to 75% in the last 3 years. Many are wondering, hey, should I buy a house now? Is the housing market going to crash? Should I hold on? What's my best option? There's been so much anxiety that some have been sitting on the sidelines for 3 years because when the housing market ticked up at the beginning of COVID, when the influx of migration started here at a rate of 1,000 a day, people sold their home at 10% profit and thought they did well. They thought they had jumped back in a year or so when the market went back down. But 3 years later, Rossi's comment has really created anxiety in them because even though the market has corrected in the last 6 months and housing prices are now selling usually for under asking price, there is a lot of anxiety. So what I want to do in this video is to show you a way to purchase a home with no down payment out of your own pocket. Now, if you think that's impossible, I want to encourage you, just watch all the way to the end. I think you'll be blown away with a creative way to purchase a home not using your own money. See, the rule number one in financing is try to use someone else's capital rather than using your own, especially for the down payment. So the secret, you see, is to create a win for the buyer and a win for the seller. Let me put together a scenario. Step one would be this. You go to a neighborhood that you think you'd like to live, and you look for homes that are for sale by owner, and the owner is no longer living in the house. The house is empty. Now, what does it tell you when a house is empty? It's for sale by owner and it's empty. Well, something that if the home is empty and for sale by owner, that the owner is highly motivated to sell. Not necessarily. Some feel that if that's the situation, that the owner must be desperate to sell. Not necessarily. But one thing is always true when you see a home for sale by owner and the home is empty. That homeowner does not need the money in that house in order to take his next move. He's already made that move. Now, I can suggest one thing that you should do. Make sure you find a neighborhood that you want to live in. Don't just buy any old house that's for sale by owner and empty. But once you find that, it might be a condominium, it might be a villa, it might be a single family residence, but in this scenario, I'm going to start small with a number that I think you can realize. Most of us can say, well, I could probably buy a condo for 150. I could probably buy a villa for 175. So let me just pick the number 160. If there's a listing price of $160,000, the first thing I want to suggest is that you offer the seller $2,000 above asking price because it will always get their attention and make them feel that you are reasonable in your calculations. Now, ask them if they need the equity in the home that they're selling for the purchase of the new one. You pretty much already know that they don't, but you're now talking to them. Now you ask them, what are you going to be using the money for? They said, well, I want to put a college fund together for my kids. And so you say, well, do you mind if I ask you, how much do you owe on this home that you're asking $160,000 for? And they said, no, we owe $120,000. Oh, it would leave you $42 if you sold me for $162. And they said, yeah. So now you know that they've got 2 kids, about ages 10 to 12, and they want that money to be invested in a safe place so that, 7 to 8 years from now, they'll have the money for the kids to go to college. Well, you ask them what they're going to do, more than likely they'll tell you, well, we're going to put it in the bank, going to put it in the credit union, and they're going to get probably somewhere 1 to 3% interest on that money. Now, at 1% interest over 8 years, $40,000 is going to only be equal to $44,000. That's not a whole lot of return in 8 years of earnings. So you ask them, would you like to earn 7.2%, on that money instead of 1%? You know they're going to tell you, yeah, I would. Now, you point out to them that banks and credit unions are going to take their $40 and they're going to give them 1%, but they're going to loan the money out to guys like me or you, and they're going to make 5, 6, or 7% interest on that money that they loan out. So you suggest to them, hey, why don't we cut out the middleman, which is the bank or the lending institution, and now you can show them that one of the safest investments is a mortgage contract. So you set up a mortgage contract using their house that they want to sell and you want to buy. You set up that mortgage contract to buy the $160,000 house for $162,000, and you promise to make the payments with an escrow on the $120,000 mortgage, and on the other $40,000 you agree to pay them interest at 7.5%. You know what that money's going to be worth in 8 years at 7.5%? That $40,000 is going to be worth $70,000. Now, they're listening on the edge of their seat, and then you ask them, would you rather have the 44 or would you rather have 70? They're coming your way, and they're coming very, very quickly. If the buyer defaults, the seller gets the house back according to the terms of the contract that you're going to give them. And then you ask them, do you think the house will be worth more in 7 years than it is right now? And most people will say, yeah, probably. And the probably is based on historical fact. In most 7-year cycles, homes that you would buy today are worth less than they're going to be worth in 7 years. So you make an arrangement to pay 7.5% on the $40,000 and assume the existing mortgage payment on the $120,000 mortgage that they've been paying, and you'll need a good contract to make sure that all the math, all the percentages, all the longevity is correct. You tell them, hey, why don't you go down, ask an attorney to double check it, because you're making them feel secure. You're not trying to hoodwink them. You're not trying to fraudulently take money from them. So give them the opportunity. If they take you up on it, great. If they don't, that's okay. Now, you also want to make sure that there are no penalties in the contract for early payment. Very important. Now, you have to satisfy the down payment without using your own capital to pay the down payment. This allows you to move into a home with no money down, no credit checks, no banking fees. You don't have to pay for closing costs. More than likely, that home will increase enough in value to allow you to negotiate, listen now, to negotiate a cash out refinance at 75% of loan to value and mortgage out the entire amount, the $120,000 plus the $70,000. And now you've created a win for the buyer, a win for the seller, and I can tell you that you can negotiate that every single time. You use someone else's money for the down payment, they're happier, you're happier. In fact, you know what's going to happen when you suggest to them that you're going to prepay the loan off? They're going to beg you to stay with them. Now, that's some creative financing. That's a way that you can beat the higher interest rates. That's a way that you can take control. You don't necessarily need a guy like myself to help you with financing. My number one job is to help you. Now, if you'd like my opinion, if you'd like my help, I would love to sell you a home. I'd love to help you get into a home. The best way for you to do that. So you can find me on BrentHaggerty.com. The name of this channel is Gulf Premier Sarasota. If you found this to be in any way intriguing, helpful, or raising your curiosity, all I would ask of you is one favor. Would you just hit the like button right now? That'll help me in my business. Subscribe to this channel every time I put out a new teaching, which is usually about 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes it's only 60 seconds long. I hope to hear from you real soon, my friend. If there is a crisis, if there is anxiety, there is an opportunity. Don't be anxious about the market. Give me a call. We can find out how that anxiety will create an opportunity of your lifetime.